Still got music going on in my ears. For a second, it was unlisted, so I had to make it public again. So I don't know how many people we're going to have right away. So
okay, well,
is what it is. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Welcome back to Monday Night Live Chat. It's always exciting here. I'm not sure what episode we're on. I stopped tracking the episodes.
It's more than 7, though.
It's more than 7 for sure. After 3 years, it's almost 3 years. Does it feel like 3 years? It doesn't feel like
no. Didn't we take like a year off in the middle? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. This year, I think we took about like 6 months off. I would say. Oh man, there's all sorts of crap in the background of this picture of all three. Anyways, especially in my room, we're talking about what's the best discount you offer your customers. But do you have something to say first?
Oh man, I just wanted to say what's up to everybody. Window Guys is here. Scrub and Wash. Yo, what's up? Clear Vision Window Cleaning's here. Neff Clean, Greg, and Antonio Howell. Paz is here. What's up? If you're here, make sure to say hello, but more importantly, make sure that you click subscribe to Steve's channel because we mentioned the T word last time, and Steve lost a bunch of subscribers.
Be careful what you do on YouTube. You never know what's going to happen. No closed captioning. Oh, I'm sorry. Gotta get your hearing aids there, Mike.
Sometimes there's these old window cleaners like that come in here, and it's like, I forget. The elderly are here.
What do you do? Oh, well. That silencer rocks. Silencer's pretty freaking sweet. So what we are going to kind of see what you guys want to chat about is what discounts do you offer your customers like this time of year? Do you offer a Black Friday discount? Do you offer a Cyber Monday discount? Do you offer any discounts? Because I know right now it can be super, super busy. Do you think you always like ramped up right after Thanksgiving and then it kind of really chilled out? I always felt like that was kind of the natural trend.
Yeah, ours was Thanksgiving because after Thanksgiving, it shut down. Like December, we didn't do much of any like new stuff. Like gutters were frozen, you couldn't clean, like people just didn't care. So it was like our push. And some people in a warmer area are like, oh, it's a big push before Christmas. Everybody wants to get in. Ours was before Thanksgiving, and then it just like tapered off. But we didn't do discounts because going in, like, even if you're not hungry, it doesn't matter how good of a deal it is. They're just not going to still get it,
No, you never offered like a free gift with your service?
No, well, no. So, yeah, so we did like in my own side, I would add value sometimes, but like in the winter, it doesn't matter what you're doing that somebody's gonna take that.
It's actually extremely rare that I ever had to offer a discount on any job, any time of year. I mean, honestly, if you say that, like, there was never a time that somebody mentioned, well, it's wintertime, would you give me a special price? That was never a thing. Like maybe in your mind, you would say, oh, I really want this job because it's slow. Therefore, maybe I'll take a little bit off the top just to make sure my guys stay busy. But that wasn't a very often thing that I remember ever doing.
And no one's buying your service, a luxury service. And like, oh, I can save $20. I'll do it. Not like that's not the kind of service you can't, that's like, hey, if you buy this house right now, I'll take $20 off. You'd be like, it's not that good deal. Like that's the same thing with this is even though the dollar's different.
Now, Antonio Howell says he jacks up the prices around Thanksgiving. I would say that I definitely probably did my highest prices throughout the spring, the summer. I guess you could say maybe when it's super busy, maybe add up a little bit if we couldn't get it done and they really wanted to fit it in, or an emergency kind of price on there.
Yeah. I don't know. We had emergency pricing for sure. Saturday pricing, if somebody like really needed it on Saturday, I don't want to work Saturday, so we charge more, but
price and a half.
Speaking of, since it's just me and you here, and Chris isn't here,
Oh,
Our biggest day in history so far now, speaking of discounts, has been Friday. That was the busiest day we've ever had
Friday
in
was
the
insane.
history of WCR.
Yeah, that
It's
was
crazy.
crazy. Absolutely crazy. How many people had record November months this year? That's what I'd like to know. You never
I
know.
didn't. I was in Vegas for half the month, and then
Well,
I was I
that.
had that, and then I had some other stuff. And
Where did you go to in Vegas? Tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, I went to the ISCA show, International Solar Cleaning Association. No, so International Solar Cleaning Academy. Yes,
Okay.
I always get
So
the
is
A
that
wrong.
training or is it just trade show?
It was training. It was all like on the safety side. It was their first show ever. Actually did amazingly well. For a
Oh,
first show,
wow.
like 70 people there, which this was like the first show ever. And it wasn't something I even really saw a lot about. We
Yeah.
didn't sponsor it and thought we should be there. So it was pretty good. I think next year they're definitely doing it again. And it's gonna be a big show, I think.
Nice. Nice. And that's mostly just all solar stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a pocket. It's a pocket of window cleaning, but that pocket is growing so much more. It's like the door knocking world of window cleaning where that just like exploded. It's going to do the same with solar. Cuz
Yeah.
like in California, it is illegal to build a house without putting solar panels on it.
Right. I've heard that. Is anyone in the chat clean solar in California or even like Nevada? Because that was in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you do a lot of solar there in Colorado?
Colorado. So we always put it on quotes. We didn't do a lot of it because it's such a dry climate. It,
Mm,
if it honestly, if it did rain, like it would sometimes make them look better. I mean, there would be a haze, but some people weren't worried about it.
yeah.
Most of the time, we did get like just specific solar jobs was because the actual solar company that put it in came out to service the job, and they literally would tell their customers, if you don't get these cleaned, they're out of warranty. So I
Yeah.
think the solar company here is called Namaste. And so they pretty much put in everybody's solar, and they definitely have that as like a rule that you have to get them clean like once every 3 years. And they
Yeah.
have specific ways too.
Yeah. Do you have solar on your mansion?
No, no solar. Yep, 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 yep.
It was either an elevator or solar. I get it.
I had the solar people come by and try to sell me panels. But you
There
know
you
what's
go.
really funny about it is they actually told me, they're like, there's really no good place on your home to even put panels that would even like make it that useful, which is the best thing ever because now I don't have to worry about any of those door knockers coming by. I
Yeah.
did have a door knocker come midsummer. Oh man, that I got really mad at because it was 8 o'clock at night. I was taking my kid up to bed. He knocked like once. I said, okay, he knocked once, so I'm not even going to worry about it. And you know, a door knocker never rings the doorbell. He just knocks. And that's like the first indicator. Like, there's a doorbell right there. You
Yeah.
don't want that thing to record because you don't want me to see that you're on, like, I don't forget what those little things are.
Little
They
Segway
ride,
things or
little
whatever. Yeah.
Segway, because I can always see it in the background. And so he does the knock, don't answer. And then maybe 30 seconds later, boom, 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 boom on the door, 8 o'clock at night. I was not nice.
I can't believe that because I read online from a 15-year-old that people love when you go door knocking.
I don't know. I mean, yeah,
Have you ever been happy that a stranger was at your house?
No, because I don't want to be sold something when I don't want it, I guess. And I'm super cheap. So like if you come to my door and you're trying to make me spend $2,000, $3,000, I'm not going to do it. When we got this home, we had a security company. Like it was part of when we bought our home, we got like this pretty basic security thing with our home. And I had like a panel with it. And so we're like, great, like this is all included with the home. You get like a doorbell with the video camera. Guy comes in and literally is like, okay, I'm going to make some suggestions for you as far as like things that you should also get. This dude had a sensor on every single window, had cameras in every single corner, had everything possible to make your home secure. There were like sensors on glass if it broke. Came out to be a bill of like $4,000 of extra things. I was like, yeah, we just bought this home. Like, there's just no way that we're going to be doing that. And I don't feel like it's necessary. It's a pretty safe place. And he literally goes, so what, you don't want to protect your family?
Yeah.
Okay. So you just lost the whole there's no way this is happening. Now you've made it personal.
Yeah.
Like there's just no possible way. So yeah, I am not an easy person to be sold on anything. Now, my wife, we had a lady come over who was selling knives, and she could not hold back on buying some knives.
Nice.
So
If
yeah.
I showed up with a bunch of gas station snacks, I could sell you $2,000 right there at the door.
You might be able to sell me gas station snacks. If somebody came to my door and
At
they
like a
said,
3 in the afternoon? Yeah.
yes, if they said every single day you could have like, what is that? Sour cream and ranch Doritos and a Mountain Dew delivered with 2 Reese's peanut butter cups, that would be a good service that I might sign up for.
There you go. There you go.
Why not?
If you want to look jacked, yoked like SteveO, that's his secret. He just gave it to you.
Yeah, I wish. Do you still go to the gym?
No, I actually was going to start back today, and I had so much to catch up on this morning that I didn't.
This is not a good time to start back at the gym. You wait until January 1st and you go in with everybody else. And then you also leave with everybody else after being there for 3 weeks. You don't show up again. And then everything just goes back to normal.
Dude, I went to the gym every morning, 5 days a week for 15 years. I didn't miss ever for anything, ever, unless I was gone out of town. And then, like, COVID happened. This is stupid. But you know how there's, like, talking about all those COVID things that happened from the whatever. I got one vaccine because I had to go on a cruise and they wouldn't let you on there at the time, you know?
Yeah.
And I swear to you, I stopped biking that minute, never biked again. I was big into it. Wow. I stopped doing working out like I did every day of my life. Just stopped. Never went back. So I found a new gym and hopefully I'm going to go back, but I have like no motivation.
Did you just lose your motivation? Like they put the shot in, you're like,
so amazing. Like to the point of like, I went and got my testosterone check. I'm like, something's like, I'm just not in it. Like, I just have no motivation for anything.
Wow.
And it's just still to that, like, still like that.
Wow. That's crazy. I was going to the gym for a long time, very regularly. And then I realized how much it took up of my life and that I needed to just take a little step back from it. That was for sure.
I sit in the sauna for 45, like an hour, between 45 and an hour every day. I sit in the sauna, which is great because I can still like be on the phone and like just like TikTok or whatever, you know, Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, I could just go. There's a new gym that opened up and it looks like fantastic, like the kind of gym I want to go to or used to go to. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back. And then I just don't use the sauna. But now I'm have this giant sauna in my room that I'm not going to use. So now I'm like, well, what am I going to do that at night? And then at night, I'm like sitting on the couch. Like, but I'm also probably sitting on the couch because I don't work out anymore. So I just feel lazy all the time.
There you go.
That's a real thing.
Yep.
That's a real thing.
I took apart my sauna when I moved. I never put it back together.
It's so big. It's so big. It's a great present, but it's so big.
It is great. See, that's why you got to get back. You got to get into something like jiu-jitsu or something like kickboxing or something like that, because you go and it's so much fun that you forget you're working out and you get a great workout and your hour's done just like that. You're never looking at your watch. You don't have your phone in front. You're not scrolling.
I like though the gym. I like that. I like just having music in and getting ants all over my skin because I took my pre-workout and like,
oh yeah,
you know, just like, oh my gosh, my lips are burning right now. Let's do this.
We totally forgot about the people in the chat who like regularly works out on the side of doing window cleaning, because window cleaning is pretty physical. I think what I found once I was, well, there was a long time that I was going regularly, but then as I started working harder on the business, I found I didn't even want to take the time. And then I'm also out there climbing ladders. You're being active all day. So like, I would like to know from the two people that are in the chat, what do you do like on the side? Do you work out? Do you do jiu-jitsu? Do you do kickboxing? Do you do yoga? Do you do Pilates? I can see a lot of window cleaners get in there doing Pilates, you know, I mean, hot yoga.
Getting those bottom windows is pretty tricky when your glutes are tight. Dude, I do wish I could do like some kind of combat sport where, you know, like jiu-jitsu type thing where it's like, okay, I'm working out, but I also feel like it could help me beat someone up if I needed to, you know? Yeah,
that's the main thing, man. It makes you feel like, hey, like when people are at the convention, they come up to you, and they start jumping at you, you know, you feel like, okay, I just throw you in a rear naked choke. You're done. You're done.
That's why I just stand behind you.
But you're done. Huh?
And I just stand behind you.
Hey, if we ever get into it with somebody.
My bouncer, my security.
I'm ready to go.
So, Steve, I'm like, Steve, he's trying to fight me. And you're like, sucks to be you. Ah, come on.
I had a skinny guy come up and apologize to me for a bunch of shit he talked about me online. You know who I'm talking about, when we were at the convention. And, you know, every bit of me from everything he said about me online during the time that he thought that I was telling him something wrong and then apologized, I really wanted to give him a good slap across the face. So instead I gave him a hug. And just
Just
said,
like jujitsu,
okay.
jujitsu.
Yeah.
I'll give him a hug. I like the best thing. There's like some books, you know, like The Art of War and things.
Yeah.
But one of the best things that I saw was for like breakups. It was like in a different sense. But when that guy comes up to you and goes, "Hey, dude, I'm so sorry for the things I said," you go, "Oh no, no worries. What was your name again?"
that really gets them.
It just ruins everything. And they're
Just
like,
ruins everything.
"Oh no, oh man, listen, dude, I don't even remember. You know, like
It's not even important.
his name doesn't sound familiar, so it must not have been bad enough to me or whatever, you know."
I love this comment from Ambidextrous. Can't wait to clean windows in my tan Lambo. JK, thanks for going live.
It wasn't even tan. It was gross beige.
There's some guys that I talk to every once in a while, some young guys who I think I might have talked about this last time, and they're down in Florida. And they're young though. Like I think they're maybe I would say maybe 19 to 22. They don't have, I think, a lot of obligations in life right now. So their goal is to buy a Ferrari, right? As far as in 120 days. And it's all from door knocking. I don't know how it's going, but I mean, what was the first big purchase that you ever made? Anybody in the chat can say this too. When you felt like, okay, I'm successful. Like I've got a little bit of money. Was it your woodworking shop? Was it your motorcycle? Was it your bunch of guitars that you have? I don't know if you all know, but Jersey is a man of many talents. You've been a stuntman.
Sounds like.
Remember? Yeah, you've been a stuntman. I mean, there's a lot of things. You learn a lot about Josh when you go to dinner. Just a lot.
It's true. It's true.
There's something you don't want me to say. Just tell me to shut up.
No. I told you about my third nipple, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows about it.
I haven't seen it.
Yet. No, you know what I did? My first like purchase where I realized I didn't do it on purpose, but I realized that like the business was its own thing, I guess, was I accidentally bought a truck on eBay. Now, before I say anything, this is like back in the day of eBay. They had changed the laws like literally like that year. So remember back when you'd like bid on stuff and then you'd be like, I'm not paying for that. And then you go to the second person. Well, they changed the laws then to make it like if you bid on it, it's a legally binding contract, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wow. And I was on eBay and there was a truck. It was just a nothing, work truck. It was in Texas and it had an awesome cap. It was just perfect what I wanted. And it was like $8,000 or something. Now, mind you, this is 20 years ago, 15 years ago. So it's like still cheap, but whatever. It was like, whatever. I was like, oh, I want to keep an eye on this. So instead of clicking watch, I click bid. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I definitely take it for that. No one else bid on it. And so I got a notice. This is like, I forgot how long the thing was, 2 weeks. I got a notice like 2 weeks later and it was like, you won the bid. And I'm like, what is this from? I pulled it up. I'm like, oh, crap. Oh, no. So I had to tell my wife, like, hey, I have to go to Texas to drive back a truck I accidentally bought. And she's like, what? And at that point, then I was like, okay, well, just makes it work. Like, I'm just going to go to the bank and get a check. And that was the first, like, purchase I did, even though it was an accident that was like, oh, like, I could put stuff into my business,
Was it a good truck?
It was a great truck. Nice. Actually, the guy that I sold my company to still has that truck. Oh, wow. He hasn't washed it, I don't think.
Is it a Tacoma?
Since I sold it, but what?
Is it a Tacoma?
No, it was actually a Ford F-150.
Oh, wow, and it's still lasting.
Yeah.
That is insane. That is crazy. Yeah. I think for me, like one of the biggest purchases that I made when I finally felt pretty good about was actually because when I bought my first ever home, I did not feel good about that. I was like, this is not a good decision, but I'm going to do it and see what happens. But when I got my Silverado like 5 years ago or so, I felt like that was my first like big purchase where I really felt like very good about it. I felt very comfortable buying it because like comfortable in that, like, I can afford this. It's not going to stress me out.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very good feeling.
There's an interesting thing about money before we get to like the people that I've mentioned in the comments, but there's a point where the goal that everybody wants, they say they want a Ferrari, but the real thing that makes you just like feel awesome is when you can go to the grocery store or a restaurant and not look at the bill and just be totally cool with it. Like that little bit of stress, the rest of it's just whatever. So I don't own 1,000 acres of horses or whatever. Like it doesn't matter. All that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're so true. And that is a very, very good feeling. Like to be able to go to a store and your kid wants this $10 item, to be able to just be like, okay, yeah, like get that. That feels good. It definitely does. Ambidextrous asked, worst injury while window cleaning. Oh man, I have actually been pretty good. I actually haven't had I haven't really had any bad injuries. I've never broken a bone while cleaning windows. The littlest cut has been like on my finger from a scraper. I'm super, super careful with scrapers. Yeah, man. I mean, it's sad though, is like we do see a lot of things happen, unfortunately, like in the industry. And just recently things that happened, like a guy in the gutter industry who was pretty well known fell. And that was super, super sad. And so it seems like just ladder safety and harness safety and a little bit of education about, carbon fiber poles and all that is kind of what needs to happen, and is happening. There's a lot of that stuff going on right now as far as training programs being made. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like typically we see in the pro groups, people cut their hands with scrapers. I think I was just seeing the other day, Chase Stockwell, he was a guy that used to be on here quite a bit. He was very active in the pro group. Looks like John Cena. And he like cut his whole hand pretty bad.
I have the greatest cut story ever, and it was my operations officer so cleverly put his razor in his back pocket, and when he put it into his back pocket, the like top got kind of caught on the jacket and popped the thing off, and his razor was in his back pocket open. And so there's this little girl at the house who was helping us. She would wanted to help. So he was like, well, hold the door, so it doesn't open. And he went to grab the razor and kind of felt it and went, pulled it off and just shot blood all up the glass right where the little girl was. She was like, ah! She's like, that's so cool. He's like, oh my God, sorry. It was bad. It was like a waterfall of like everywhere. We had it like on the concrete and the window and the frames, and we were like, it took like an hour to get rid of all of that on top of trying to finish the thing. So
wow.
I was like, hey, guess what you're not supposed to do?
Yeah.
He's like, oh my God, that's so stupid. I'm like, yeah, it was.
I did a video on a scraper, just like the basics of that training series I've been doing. And I even hate just taking the holder out of the scraper and replacing the blade. I don't like knives. Sharp objects are not my thing, like at all. But I could not imagine. That would suck.
It's so thin that it's the creepiest feeling, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't mind. You've seen my hands. I got bad hands. Like I'm not that. I don't care. It's just something about how thin they are and how sharp they are that you don't even feel it. And you're like, oh, why is my hand all sticky? And you look down and there's just blood everywhere. And you're like,
it's that hot. It's like a hot feeling when it happens, and then all of a sudden it just, you get it, and then once you look at it, boom.
Really the worst is when you look at it and it's not bleeding, and you're like, oh, I can see it looks like an open mouth, and then you're like, this is not going to be good. And then all of a sudden it's like, it starts bleeding. You're like,
I gotta go to the hospital. This has to happen.
So not to jump off of that, cutting yourself, but I cut a tree down this weekend, and I was on part of this mountain that's like super steep, so they're like leaning against it. That's how straight up and down, you're almost standing. And I'm cutting this tree, and all of a sudden I cut it. It doesn't go. I throw some wedges in. It doesn't go. I'm like, I need a little bit more. So I'm cutting it, and then all of a sudden the opening starts going. And I'm like, okay, it's opening. I'm too steep to run. So I leave the saw in the cut and I go up. And usually it's fine, but it grabbed the saw, brought it over, and the tree fell on it and took a giant 87cc saw, giant saw, one of the biggest there is, and crushed it down into like half the size.
Oh,
Just
wow.
crushed it, and just metal pieces everywhere. It broke all the internals. It was nuts.
Jeez.
I was like, I'm
Wow.
really glad that wasn't me.
Was this your
So,
Christmas tree or what tree was it?
no, it's just a tree that was in my way. It was in my view. No, but it was one of those where you're like, this is how quickly this kind of stuff just can happen. It's the same
Yeah.
thing with everything. You're like, oh, like 2 seconds. Everybody's like, oh, but it was an accident. Well, it's all accidents. That's why it's so fast. We just
It's
don't
like
pay attention to them.
whenever you see the videos of someone trimming like a tree, like way up high on an oak tree, and they got one ladder going up to one place, you got another ladder going up, and the guy's at the top, and then it just falls, and you see the ladder just go, the guy fly.
Did you see one of the worst ones I saw was a guy cutting a palm tree, and the palm fronds caught on fire when he was up there. He's like strapped into this palm tree, like at the very top, and he's like, oh, and he's like trying to put the fire out, and the fire's not, and he's like trying to lean back. He's just getting burnt. I'm like,
Oh, man.
You're stuck.
It'd be rough. It'd be rough. We have a question from Travis Murray. Any tips on how to practice trad pole work? I do not have a 2-story house to practice on. I did my first job last week and had some trouble getting the second floor windows. To go out to like a storefront, like a 2-story storefront. Gosh, there's so many storefronts that are like vacant. Even like a commercial building that has 2-story windows and like inconspicuous. No one ever is going to get mad at you for just like scrubbing the windows down and squeegeeing the windows. I used to do that with commercial buildings. Like sometimes if I wanted to see how like a water fed pole was and I didn't have that type of work for like a couple of weeks, but I wanted to try it out, I would go to commercial buildings. I would like hook up the water, turn on the water key, like do everything. And
nobody knows. They're like, oh, it must have been the other guy that ordered that.
Yeah. Not there to vandalize anything. I'm literally there to like clean. So I would say that. And 2, like practice where you can. I mean, you're going to have jobs that come up where you can practice. And, 2, with like trad pole work, when you first get going, just do straight pulls with pole work. You don't have to fan everything. I mean, I know it looks fancy and it looks fun, but it took me a long time to really feel comfortable with that, to have a good product for customers. Commercial work, you can work on a lot of that type of stuff and feel pretty good about it over time. But like, I tried to help many people get it down, and I would go to their work consistently over for like years, and it never looked great. There's some people that get it. There's some people that don't.
Yeah. I always say friends and family too, like neighbors. Just go to anybody's house that has windows you want to do, and just, dude, can I clean your windows for free? I just want to practice. They'd be like, yeah. And I like Billy Bob's advice the best. So he says, just get a water-fed pole.
This is true. This is going to be a very simple way. And we always say it, like starting out, I know you said you don't have the resources to buy a water-fed pole, but once you kind of do and are able to kind of bridge that gap, the only thing, because a lot of people say, don't buy a water-fed pole at first. And I don't disagree with it, but I also think that it shortens your learning curve. It allows you to take on bigger jobs quicker. And so typically nowadays, with so many people using them, when someone does get it right away, I do find that it's super rare that they don't do it as a business. Like they continue and really follow through with it. Yeah.
And 2, like with a firm. I was gonna say, and with like a firm and Black Friday sales or Cyber Monday, because that's today. I mean, you can get in for like a few $100s a month, and 12 months from now, you'll have that money made back and some. So, it does. The only time I think you shouldn't get a water fit if it's not in the cards yet, if you have no possible way to get it. But yeah, you still need to do it. It's just second floor stuff sucks.
Yep, exactly. And 2, like, I would say if you're not getting into like residential cleaning or high commercial cleaning, sometimes you can really make your equipment go far for storefronts. Like you don't really need a water fed pole for storefronts.
Yeah. So, here's a good one from Guy Hilaire. He said, are there legit window cleaning certification online? If yes, can you name them? And certification is a weird thing because anybody could do a certification, and there's not really, there's not like a training because it's not hard. There's not really.
Yeah, there's not a specific like badge or something like
industry standard.
Like for high rise, there definitely is. Like you should get certification in that. It's more the safety, I guess you could say, where the certification really comes in. Maybe certified on like harnesses for homes and different stuff like that, which you're really going to find a lot more resources for because it's used by so many services. Where yes, exactly, like for window cleaning, it's not that difficult. You're not working with anything, chemical wise that's really that crazy, other than maybe sometimes acids for like hard water removal. But yeah, I mean, there's no certifications that I can think of that we have. Maybe in the UK they do certifications. I don't know.
If you want a really good certification that's free, go to SteveO, the window cleaner's YouTube channel. He has training series that he's been doing, and you can get basically certified without a piece of paper telling you you're certified.
This is true. So if anyone doesn't like my current videos that I'm doing right now because they're overly basic, there's a whole plan to this. It's just the way that I'm doing it over time. It's gonna be very good because I talked to a lot of people in the beginning of their window cleaning career, and then as they go, they just move to Josh, and I lose them as a customer.
Then they go to John B.
Then they go to John B. Then they go to Austin, and then they end to John Lee. It's just the natural course of life. I don't know. I don't know what else to do. I've been watching it now for almost 5 years. I don't know what else to do. Just life. What can you do?
Oh well.
Oh well. Antonio Howell also said, try not to practice in the sunlight. That is a very good tip because that will frustrate you very, very bad right away. And so that's definitely something that I would say that took me the longest was to like really. And that's where water fed pole helps so much, especially in the summer. I mean, it's too hot out. One story.
Frustrating to chase those
step ladder. Yeah.
There's nothing that upsets me more is chasing like streaks or smears or like that haze where like you go wash it all and then it dries before you put it on and you're like do it again. Like,
yeah,
it frustrates me.
Oh man, I love this comment by Antonio. Local service ads far better. Billy Bob asked, what has the best ROI, Facebook ads or local service ads? I bet you would say Facebook ads.
Yeah, he's even asked another good one about the door hangers and yard signs.
Oh.
But for Facebook ads or local service ads, it's Facebook.
Dude,
because it's so targeted.
So nice.
So targeted.
So is local service ads. It's very targeted to your area.
That's true. That's true.
And you got that little green check. So like old grandmas come on there like, oh, look at that.
Yeah,
it's guaranteed. True. Yeah.
I was talking to somebody with the local service ads, and they said when they turned that on, it was like a water faucet of like they just had to like turn it off when they got so busy.
When I was using it, yeah, I would have to like there were some days, weeks at a time where I have to turn it off because the flow coming in of leads was so good. Now, when I did it, it was, I guess, at a smaller amount as far as the leads. I have heard some people saying they're paying like 45 to 50 per lead. But man, they were really good customers though. Every lead that I got was a
They weren't there for a discount. They weren't a Groupon lead.
Not at all. Good neighborhoods. Never coupon shoppers whatsoever. They just wanted a good service. I really, really liked it. And they have a good app that you can use. And then if you get a phone call and it's, someone trying to sell you something, you can right away go in and dispute that they shouldn't charge you for like that lead. And they just reversed it right away. I never had an issue one time. Antonio helped 4 calls a day. It's great. Super duper.
That's good.
Now, what if you did that in Facebook ads?
Boom.
I
didn't actually, to be honest, I've been with or around people that have done those ads, but I haven't done local service ads at all. I don't think it was even a thing when I kind of was in it. So I don't know. I think it was very new as of maybe 2020, to be quite honest. I mean, that's when I started noticing it. And then when I opened Pure Professional in 2021, I right away got on it because you had to have a background check. And then you have to supply your COI as well. So you have to give them that or else you won't be approved. So it's not just like Google My Business where you go on and boom, you have it. You really have to show that you're a legit business. And is it only one business in the area that can do it or can everybody do it?
Everybody can do it. But I think it's that thing of that you have to have certain qualifications. So like what has happened is we have talked to many younger window cleaners who do not have insurance, right? So boom, they can't do it. They're not going to be on there. And so that's, it's something that I would definitely take advantage of as much as possible. I never did yard signs. That's something I never did. I always felt like having your van or your truck lettered up or wrapped like right in front of the house pretty much took care of the yard signs. And in my area, if you put yard signs and left them, they were going to be removed.
Yard signs feel like junk to me. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people have good at like luck with them, but for me, I just feel like it's like a litter thing.
Yeah.
Not into it. But here's a question for you. Somebody asked me this today earlier, and I thought it was an interesting question. What would you do first? Would you get insurance, or would you become an LLC from a sole proprietor?
I'd become an LLC first because I know when I applied for insurance, I had to have that before I even got my insurance.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Yeah.
What would you guys do in the chat? What do you feel like is the correct answer, Mr. Businessman?
I'd love to see people thinking and saying, because it's interesting when you're like, well, they're both liability asset protection, but like what, which way to go. I would
Yeah.
hate to be stuck without insurance, but I don't know anybody who's really ever claimed insurance and general liability in window cleaning. Like there's got to be people out there, but do you know anybody who's actually claimed something on their insurance? It's pretty rare.
Yeah, it's extremely rare because really, like the things that we're going to break, right? They're not going to be that expensive. If we break a window, it's not covered. So, I mean, for that, you're just going to pay. But I think it's the being able to tell the customer. And then also, if you're getting into commercial stuff, you have to have typically the COI to show, especially for like mid-rise commercial. And so I was asked for that for a number of times for my storefronts and stuff, especially the ones that I build through QuickBooks. And that like we actually had, more than just cash. It was those type of customers that always asked for that type of stuff. So I feel like it's very important. I wouldn't do a company without both. I wouldn't even think about it. It would be the first two things that I would do. But I think we maybe touched on this last time. It's becoming a thing that's mentioned more that people's rates are going up. And then also that newer companies, depending on how much information they give, they're not even getting offered coverage.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right. What about water fed pole? Like if you keep yourself off ladders, what do you have the insurance for?
Not possible though.
You don't think you're saying it's not possible to stay off ladders forever?
Yeah, it's not possible to stay off ladders forever. I mean, now that's like in my area, I would, if someone says I want to be a window cleaner, but I want to use ladders, sorry, it's not possible. You should probably choose another career. And I used to tell people that when I trained, if they first day of training, they said, hey, I'm scared of heights. I said, it's probably best you get in your car and you go start applying for their jobs because this is going to be pointless because you're going to get on a ladder today. You're going to have to be on a ladder. And if you're not going to be on a ladder, you're not going to be able to fulfill this job. And there's going to be situations that you just have to do it. Like it comes along with the territory.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to go install gutters, but I don't want to get on ladders.
Okay.
How are you going to do?
You better be the guy in the truck that's forming them then, because there's nothing else you're going to be able to do.
Yeah. But I mean, I've had people mention that. Have you had people say that like, hey, well, do you think if I told my insurance I do water fed pole only, or, I try to maximize using water fed pole that I don't have to pay as much?
Yeah. I have had people say that they don't go on ladders. So they have their insurance to not insure them on ladders. So then you're in janitorial, so it's a lot less. But they don't even own ladders, so.
But I feel like general liability for $1 million is what, maybe 80 to 90 a month. Yeah. So then what is it without that?
That may be 60? Not even insurance as much as like workers' comp or something,
Oh, yes.
Like workers' comp would jump from like 38% or 35% down to like 6% or something.
I understand that. Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. In that realm, then yes, because workman's comp sucks. Yeah. As far as every year, the change in the percentage, that is, along with payroll taxes and everything with all that, it's scary to think about how much money you have to make in a day. Like, I bet you have this conversation all the time when someone says, okay, like I want to move to having employees. What's the best way to do them? We've talked about this on here, but then you say, okay, so now that you're moving to employees, you didn't have to do, workman's comp for yourself as the owner. Now you're adding that on. Then you're adding payroll. You're adding payroll taxes. Like now your goal is to keep everybody busy. Like your thoughts should be, I need to get myself out of the field right away. And I got to work on sales and I got to work on marketing and I got to do it. Because to me, like even myself of being a time of owner operator or even times of being the co-owner with Jim, I saw the stress of, and was part of the stress of that we have so much overhead that we start with every single day. We have to get that like balanced out. And then we got to start making a little bit of money by 1-2 p.m. is when we finally start making money. That's how I always felt from it when we look at what we're doing. Gas, truck, just, oh man.
Yeah, you when you're by yourself, you make more money, and when you hire employees, you drop down to then recoup to build that back up. And there are some people who are like, "Well, I don't understand this. Why do I want employees?" Then it's like, well, that's the progression if that's where you want to go.
Yeah.
If you're just capped at where you are, you don't really have an asset. Nothing wrong with it, but you can't sell a company if you're the only one doing stuff. It's not as much of an asset. So
yeah. Hey, what chemical is best for hard water? Everyone's saying One Restore. We know, yeah. One Restore is typically, I actually haven't had any people have issues with it as far as burning glass. I think I had one person ever do it, but they admitted that they just let it go too long. But I mean, if you want something to really be able to dissolve it like quick, I would definitely say. I never had to use it much in my area. Diamond Magic worked great.
Yeah, I had a customer who he got it, went on the website. Wasn't even my customer, I should say. It was just a random person that I talked to. And the guy went to the first window and sprayed it, then to the second window and sprayed it, went all the way around the house that way, and then came back. And the entire house was smoked.
Oh my gosh. Dude.
I was like, who? And he's like, it didn't say you couldn't do. I was like, I don't even know like how to. But anyway, he had a polisher in his area. Glass Renew actually has a network, you could find, and he had somebody there, and they came in and charged a couple $1,000, but came in and fixed it all. So,
wow, that's nice. Yeah, can you talk more about? I know what you're talking about as far as the people can go on their site, but talk about that a little bit because you do have so much knowledge in that. As far as that, if let's say you're in whatever state and you mess up a window and there's scratches or what you just talked about, and you don't know what to do, Glass Renew can be like a great resource.
Yeah. They have, when you're registered and trained with them, they put you in their like user network. And I know a lot of guys who I know 2 different people in Hawaii, different islands, but that's all they do is just glass restoration. They travel all over and they do it like 1 or 2 days a week. They make, $180,000 a year. One guy's a pilot as like a hobby, and every time he flies, he brings it with him and finds, and like they're all over the place, but there's guys that do that for just a living. That's all they do. And they're really good at it. So what can happen is instead of you going to get all the stuff, or you can get the stuff and then watch them do it, you can hire them out to be able to restore jobs for you. That's the insurance side, right? You buy Glass Renew for money making, or you can buy it for insurance. I bought mine originally for insurance because I was like, this was the Duncan days. There's this guy that went by Duncan, and he was brand new, young guy coming scratched. He said $68,000. They were trying to get him for windows, and then you never saw him again. So he had to like close his business. He was super big into like forums and everything, and then just disappeared. So once that happened, I was like, at the time, I don't remember what it was, $2,500 or whatever. But I was like, I'm just going to buy a Glass Renew. That's another insurance policy for me, and it'll just last as long as I want. And then I made a bunch of money with it, but I just had it for insurance. Like, if I scratch something, guess what? I go back to the office, I grab this thing, and I go fix it.
Right. Yeah. One of the first ever jobs that I was on that was a huge job was this like custom mountain mansion home in this like valley.
Is that the one you ended up buying then? That's what you're in now?
No. But this house did have an elevator. But it had, like a huge tree that they had cut out that was originally there. And that was like the core of the home. And so in their front, they had this 3 panes, and each pane, I would say, was about 20 feet tall and maybe 10 to 15 feet wide. So 3 of them in a row. And this company I worked for did the original construction clean. And the first thing they said to all their workers, they said, do not use a scraper on any of these windows. These all came from what they said, like Italy, right? And there was one guy that had to do rope work on this thing because there was no way to put a ladder up. So they had mounting points and everything. So he did it. First thing he did, mopped it, took a razor to it, scratched up this whole large section. And so the owner had to learn how to do rope stuff right away, how to buy the kit, how to do it. And he was there, I guess, for like a whole entire week just trying to fix this one section. And they got it. And they totally
a lot cheaper than the $50,000 it would have been to replace.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because they would have to pay for literally come overseas, take it out. And I mean, it was totally custom. I mean, the frame below wasn't anything natural. It was a log, that they had conformed to all of this. And that was the most extreme I ever saw with scratches. I've only ever scratched, I think, like 2 to 3 windows in my life. Like
I have
really scratched them.
Yeah. I have had a customer, and I wasn't even a customer. It was just somebody I knew through somebody here, and they're right on the lake, and they have these panes. And when you drive by, you're like, they're giant. They're like 20 feet high panes, and they're like the entire front. So it's like a 2-story, but they're just single pieces. And the guy said that each pane, when he built the house, were $44,000. Each pane of glass, because when they brought it in, they had to specially order it from Switzerland or Germany or whatever place had the like facility to even make them that big. And then when they shipped them, they had to ship them in like 20-foot pieces. So they shipped them across, and $44,000. He said he paid per piece of glass.
I mean, is that worth it? Well, anyways, that brings us back to it though, and that if you ever have like a job where you screw up, I mean, literally, I tell people with that resource at least 5 times a week, because we get a lot of homeowners who mess up their glass. I forget, there was a chemical somebody used that was for like gutters, and they put it all over their windows, and they did a similar thing. I never saw pictures of them, but he was like, every single one of them has this like metallic look, and I said, you probably
smoked them.
Yeah, you messed up your windows. So like, if you ever have a customer, a homeowner, and they're like, I want to use acid, just you suggest that you do it, not them.
I really like One Restore though. Like Mr. Awesome Guy Blah said, glad I use CLR. Don't use CLR. CLR is garbage. Actually, in some places where like you have real soft, literal light hard water, that kind of stuff can work, but you don't have to be scared of it to use it.
It works though, he says.
Yeah, if it works, and he's got probably light. He's probably in a soft water area.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
True. That's why I can use Diamond Magic everywhere, and I feel like it works well. And then I sell it to somebody in Texas, and they tell me I'm dumb. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Diamond Magic works like on your shower enclosure, but anything that's on outside, I'm like, One Restore.
It's so
be
good.
Smart, but One Restore.
I will put this glassrenew.com link here in the chat, and then the Find a Technician thing is just at the top right. So yeah, if you ever, who's your main contact guy? Is it Cody?
Cody. There's a bunch of dudes there. I don't know that you can always get Cody either, but he's the guy I always have done podcasts with and stuff, and he's been really, really pretty good. He's been a buddy of mine for like 15 years, probably longer than that. I mean, I like know him, and he's super genuine and good dude. He's super smart.
Oh, I bet.
He was like 21 or something, working for like the U.S. Department of like the government, basically, working on a crazy program with the government. And he's like, I'm going to do something. This is interesting. I'm going to see how glass works.
Wow.
And he like came up with the pads and came up with the composite, and they're the only ones. Glass renew is the only thing. It's not like there's a bunch of options like that. It's a dry polish, and yeah.
I remember him talking about the stuff where they were talking about repairing granite. And coming up with
that is Granite Renew. Granite Renew.
That's a whole other business, but it's just a branch off of Glass Renew.
Yep. It's just different compounds in the discs. Because the discs for glass, there's a certain compound that helps to polish the glass. That same polish or particle that's in the disc doesn't work on marble or polished stone, but then they just change that and mix out, and now they can use it on that.
Yeah.
It's a whole other industry.
Mr. Awesome, it says, is polishing hard?
No.
You don't feel like it's hard?
Super easy.
Yeah.
That's it.
A nice light touch.
Like, yeah, you just have to do it. It's like if you are a woodworker or into that, sanding makes sense when you go like 80 grit to 120 grit to 150 to 220 to like as you work your way down, you're removing small scratches. Like that's literally what polishing and sanding is in general. All you're doing is removing scratches. You're just removing them to smaller scratches and making them smaller. And then when you're at like, 550 or 500, grit sandpaper or 1000 like they do on autos, the scratches are so soft, they're so small that you can't see them anymore. That's why you can polish glass out, because as long as there's no scratches, then you can see through the glass.
Yeah.
Like etching in glass, what that is basically just ruining the surface of the glass so that you can't see through it. It's creating a refraction.
Oh, man.
Pull that off.
Bassmaster. Sup, y'all? I'll be... Oh, man. Is that one of those other words?
Sup, y'all? I'll be listening while cleaning windows. Yeah, that's all right. Bassmaster?
Yeah.
That's a safe one. I think it's safe.
Never
You have PTSD now.
Yeah.
One time. That's the best rated episode ever we've done in the lives. But...
And Billy Bob's easy, Mr. Awesome Guy, on here. That's pretty simple, but sometimes they come on and try to throw you for a loop. It's not very cool.
Always do.
You ever lost a customer over scratches? Mr. Awesome Guy lost one customer because of a scratch, but I got lucky with the rest of the scratches. I did where no one really notices them. I've lost a few customers based on that they thought that we did scratches, but I was the type of guy who I remember this job and they got new windows in, and I feel like you can find imperfections in any window. Like I just feel like you look at a window 5 ways from Sunday, you're gonna find something that you don't like. That's why you just look at it as a whole and know that the sun comes through and you can see out. And
every window that's older than like 2-3 years old has scratches because there's sand in the wind. There was storms. There was birds. There's every little thing could scratch the windows, but then that sparkle doesn't happen. Once you clean them, they're like, oh, you scratched them. Yeah. I've lost more customers that way where I've explained why not, and then I just never went back because they tried to go hardcore on me, and I knew they were just trying to get free windows. So I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
I'm not going to go back to it.
I literally went through this whole house with this lady, and I said, do you think this window's bad? I was like, let's go through all your windows, and I'll show you all the imperfections. And we got through it, and she finally got through it, and she's like, okay. I was like, fine. I was like, yeah. I was like, see? I was like, there's nothing that we've done. Like, I'm not coming to your windows and cleaning your windows to get sued. Like you hired me. That's what I've always not liked about it. Like when a customer goes after it, it's like, you hired me to clean your windows. I came in and cleaned your windows. Now you're trying to sue me because you have a better view and you see something not perfect with your glass. Yeah. Like you can't make that a thing.
I told you that architect that we did work for, we cleaned like the first 2 windows and there were scratches, and our policy was that we just always stop. I went on to the job site because this guy was freaking out. He was the architect and he was a Frank Lloyd Wright, blah, 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 blah. And I got there and every window in his house was trashed, but they were dirty. So I brought him in like the bathroom. We haven't even been there yet. We did 2 windows in the front. That's where we started. I'm like, look at this window. Look at this window. He's like, I don't care. I don't care. You'll be hearing from my attorney. I'm like, cool, man. Like we just took all the other pictures that we could on the whole rest of the house. And we're like, cool. Like, we're just not going to talk to you anymore because I could tell you're crazy.
And that never turned into a thing, right?
No,
kind of just fell off.
Never.
Yeah.
Because he's like, wow, maybe I shouldn't sue a window cleaner who showed me all the other windows he didn't clean that were scratched. Like,
well, there's always this like famous case that happened in Boulder, Colorado, and there's news articles out there about it where, a customer tried to say the guy scratched those windows, and there was no way to ever, be on a reasonable doubt, know that that guy actually did it. And they both just lost out, and the window cleaner had to lose out on a bunch of legal fees just because the guy decided to sue him. And I just don't like that idea that, it happened to us a few times too, where it's like, you hire us to come in your house, you know what we're doing, but yet like someone comes in to clean your carpets. I would think it would be very rare that someone could really say you damaged my carpets, right? Yeah. Because they're going to go through, they're going to take pictures. And like, even when someone moves your furniture, they usually go through and note like, okay, what imperfections are there, stuff like that. Like things are going to happen, right? But like for windows, like why does that always have to be a thing? Like you damaged my windows. Oh, my windows are foggy. Yeah, it's because you have a leak seal. You did that. No, I didn't freaking do that. I didn't take a hammer.
How did I break your seal of your 30-year-old window?
But that part gets so old. Like Mr. Awesome Guy said, like we're the fall people for some reason. And then I think it's just because some people don't think very highly of window cleaners. So they're like, this guy's going to F it up. And I've seen it. I've seen like racial profiling with that kind of stuff where they're like, because this guy is Mexican, he was the guy that did this. Yeah. No, that's not true whatsoever. That is horrible that you said that.
Yeah, it shows the kind of person you are, is what it does.
It's a freaking horrible. But yeah, it's all that crap sucks. That's for sure. Well, cool deal, man. Well, Broncos play at about 15 minutes here, Monday Night Football. I know you're very interested.
Yeah, I
paying
got to get off so I
Cleveland
can go
Browns.
watch the footballs.
Yeah, it's the footballs. But we'll be back here in 2 weeks, possibly for probably the last one of the year. We had tons this year of episodes. I mean, this is episode 5. This is crazy. This has been insane.
It was a busy year.
This is a very busy year. I think it's a busy year for everybody.
Our numbers, just between you and I, you guys that are watching, don't listen. But we hit last night, we hit a goal that was supposed to be our year's goal, and we still got a month left. So that's what kind of year it's been.
It's great. And we did it all. No, I'm joking.
Yep. Yeah, I know. It's all us.
It's all us. We hope that all of you have had the same with your window cleaning businesses.
And
the best. Yes.
By the way, it's still not too late. Yes, he's watching football, but it's not too late to have Steve put your orders in for Cyber Monday. 20% off everything on the store. So if you're watching, like literally, buy the thing that you want to buy.
It's going through tomorrow. So, just wait for tomorrow. Yeah, be okay.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for watching. Do you have anything else you wanted to share?
Go to awcmag.com and get a magazine for the American Window Cleaner magazine.
Yes, do that. Yes, please do that. And we will see you all soon. Bye.